What's the story, Morning Glory? What's the word, Hummingbird? Thank you so much for clicking on my channel and for joining me for this review of 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, Season 6, Episode 9, Some Kind of Awful. Let's get started with Shakina and Sarper. So the episode starts off with Shakina and Sarper having dinner with Sarper's family. And they're talking about Sarper and Shakina's plans on living in Turkey. Shakina talks about how she's going to be splitting her time between Turkey and the United States, how she wishes that her daughter would come and visit her during her summer breaks, etc. And then they talk about her family. I think the family asked her something about her family, and she said that she's not really talking to her family right now. They're not communicating. She didn't really give them the reason why, because it had everything to do with Sarper, and this is his family. But the reason is because she's still with Sarper, and they can't accept that. And she can't accept that they won't accept him. And that's why they're not speaking. Now, the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like trying to figure out, what are these people doing on this show? What is Sarper and Shekinah doing on this show, this particular franchise of 90 Day Fiance? Because Sarper ends up telling his family that him and Shekinah applied for the K-1 visa and their plan is to come to the United States. And once they arrive in the United States, if they get approved, they're going to have to get married in 90 days. So this show is 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, where the American is supposed to live abroad and they're supposed to be getting, used to or acclimated to a whole new country, a whole new way of life, new language, new culture, new custom, new foods, etc., and trying to make a relationship work, abroad. Shekinah and Sarper, I think, had their eyes set on the United States from the get-go. I don't think Shekinah had any plans on living in Turkey. I think that their whole entire mission was to eventually end up in the United States. So I don't even know what they're doing here. The next time that we see Shekinah and Sarper, they're back at the apartment. Shekinah is packing up her suitcase and she is ready to get the hell out of there. So eventually we find out that they had an argument. And I think the argument was over a vanity. Sarper wanted to buy her a vanity. She didn't like it. I guess he felt some kind of way that she didn't like the vanity that he bought for her or that he wanted to buy for her. Then they got into some kind of a tussle over her phone. He was trying to take the phone from her, so they were fighting over her phone. In the midst of all of that, her extensions got pulled out of her head. It was just like, I was like, what? Y'all are fighting about a vanity? It got bad like that because y'all are fighting over a vanity or about it. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with these people. And so then Shekinah tells the producers that when Sarper doesn't get his way, he just spirals out of control. And Sarper is sitting on the couch with his legs crossed, acting very cool, calm, and collected, which makes me think that he was probably boiling inside. Okay, he was probably at that level of intense passivity. Like he was so pissed off. He was at the highest level of passivity and he was trying to remain calm so he didn't snatch Shekinah's head right off her shoulder. That's what it looked like to him. Like he was trying to restrain himself. So Shekinah packs up her stuff and she leaves and he doesn't attempt to make her stay. He doesn't attempt to work anything out with her. He doesn't attempt to talk to her or anything. So in the car on her way to the hotel, she tells the producers that Sarper was also upset with her. In addition to everything else, he was also upset because she was standing up for herself. And I don't know if this is related to the vanity with her telling him, I don't like that vanity. And he didn't like that she was expressing herself and giving an opinion that was not aligned with his opinion. I don't know if that's what made him mad or if it was something else altogether. So she was telling the producers that he wants the old Shekinah back, the more submissive Shekinah, the Shekinah that we saw at last year's or last season's tell-all, where she turned into like a Stepford wife and she was allowing Sarper to control her. Now, she already allowed Sarper to control her, but at the tell-all, it was like she had no mind of her own. She was acting like his own personal robot or automaton or something. She had no thought of her own. Everything she said was in agreement with Sarper. She was defending Sarper against the other cast members who were trying to tell her that this is not healthy, this is very toxic. No one should be able to control you this much, controlling what you eat, because he was texting her all of these directions and demands and commands, telling her what she should be eating at the tell-all, how she should sit, what she should wear, her makeup, her hair. And we all know he controls her weight. So so she was defending this behavior tooth and nail. I think she basically destroyed her relationship with all the other cast members because she was going so hard for Sarper. So now she's saying that, she's found her voice, she's a free thinker, independent woman, and he doesn't like that. And he wants the old Stepford wife, Shekinah, back. And I'm like, Shekinah, please try to figure out who you are before you get into a relationship with someone or before you present yourself on television. Figure out who you are first as a person, as a woman, and then come back at us because you're confusing us and you're confusing him. He thought he had a Stepford wife, woman that he could control. And now you're saying that you're not that, even though that's what you were before. But you're saying, no, I'm not that anymore. I'm independent and I think for myself. So it's very confusing. I don't know if you know who you are. I don't know if you know what's going on because you're on the wrong show. You're not even supposed to be on this show because you're not even planning on living in Turkey. Moving on to Joanne and Shawn. So Joanne and her two sons and her best friend are getting ready to leave for the airport to go to Ireland. At this point, her mother already knows that her and Shawn are married. Her children still don't know. I don't think her best friend knows either. So they are at the airport. They're saying goodbye to her mom. And her mom tells us that, it's really sad for her to know that her grandsons have no idea that they already have a stepfather. So they get to Ireland. Oh, by the way, we also get to meet Shawn's daughter. So while Joanne and her kids are traveling to Ireland, we meet Shawn and his 8-year-old daughter. And the little girl has no idea that her dad is married to Joanne. And she's really adorable, really cute, full of personality. And he talks about how close him and his daughter are and all this other stuff. Okay, fine. So Joanne and her sons arrive in Ireland. The little girl is really excited to see Joanne again. Everybody meets each other, and it's a wonderful little meeting, reunion, whatever you want to call it. But underneath it all, there's like trouble in paradise because these kids have no idea that their parents are married and that they're actually meeting their stepmom and their stepdad. Little girl meeting her stepmom, her son's meeting their stepdad. And the kids have no idea that they're actually step siblings. And it's because these two adults don't have the guts or the courage to tell their children that they are married. And I think the producers asked Joanne, "When do you plan on telling the kids?" And Joanne says, "Well, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait until it's the right time." Joanne, sweetheart, the right time is past. The right time to tell your kids was before you even got married. Was to allow your children to meet him way before you even got married. Now that you've been married 2 years, I seriously doubt, with all of my heart and every cell in my body, I seriously doubt that if her kids end up not liking Shawn, she's not going to divorce him. She's not going to divorce him. She's going to come up with every excuse in the book on why she needs to stay in Ireland with this man, even though, or regardless of the fact that whether or not her kids like him or not. I don't think how her kids feel about Shawn is going to change her plan on living in Ireland with this man. I don't think it's going to have any effect at all. But it's really sad when you look at the children and they don't know what's going on. They don't know that their whole lives are about to completely change when their mother finally reveals the secret. And, the little girl, when her father reveals the secret that they're married. I just don't understand how you cannot tell your kids that and then wait 2 years to tell them. And then wait 2 years to tell them. Moving on to Corona and Inky. So Corona is about to meet Inky's parents. She's already she's already met his brother, and the meeting is supposed to take place at the brother's house. So she gets along with Inky's brother. They seem to have a really good relationship, and Corona is extremely nervous about meeting the parents. She doesn't know if they're going to accept her because, number one, Inky has never brought home a woman ever to meet his family because he's never had a serious relationship. Number two, she's African American. Number three, she's from America. So she's really nervous and she's full of anxiety, doesn't know how they're going to take to her, how they're going to accept her. So the parents show up, and it seemed like immediately they liked her. They had no issues with her at all. They gave her a hug, they greeted her very warmly. They didn't have any issues with her at all whatsoever. They all sit down for dinner, and the brother is translating between Corona and Inky's parents. And the parents are like, we can't wait for y'all to start having children because we're really looking forward to having more grandchildren. And Corona says in her confessional that she did feel good that they were open minded to having mixed children, but she would rather have them she would rather have them have been looking forward to her and Inky getting married before talking about grandchildren. And then Inky in his confessional, he's not trying to hear nothing about marriage or kids. Okay, because he's not serious about Corona. Okay, he thinks he's on one big long date with Corona. I don't think Inky, it's really sunk into his mind that Corona is here to stay, and that he needs to like make room in his life for her, and that she ain't going nowhere. I don't think he's really realized that. So the parents are like, oh, we can't wait for y'all to have kids because we need more grandchildren. The mother was even like interested in her hair, like touching her locks, because Corona has these really long locks, touching her locks and asking her, how do you get your hair like this? And Corona said that normally she would not allow anybody to touch her hair, but because she's trying to make a good impression on his mother, she allowed it. She said that even if she wanted to cut off one of her locks and take it with her, she would have allowed it because she really wants these people to like her. And I think that they did like her. I didn't see I don't know these people from a hole in the wall, but it didn't come off like they were being fake or disingenuous. It appeared as if they really did like Corona and that they had no problem accepting her. Now, the only issue is, okay, so Corona had a lot of anxiety and a lot of, apprehension about meeting the parents, but I think her biggest issue is Inky, getting Inky to accept the fact that she's here for a purpose. She's not here for a good time. She's here for a purpose, and her purpose is to get married. So I don't know, she wastes a lot of emotions over the parents and whether or not they're going to like her when she really needs to concentrate on Inky and exactly what are his expectations. Does he understand what she's expecting from him? And are they really on the same page with that? Statler and Dempsey, not much going on there. They wake up their first morning in the van. Okay, not much happened. But your girl Statler has been very reckless on TikTok, and she's been doing these TikTok lives revealing all of these behind the scenes secrets about 90 Day Fiance, talking about how everything is fake and scripted, which we all kind of gathered, and how nothing is genuine about the show at all. She refers to Shakina and Sarper as the plastics, not because of them, like being like with all the work that they have done on themselves, but more so because they're just fake all the way around. She said that Shekinah and Sarper, they are, maybe they're fan favorites, or maybe they're TLC darlings, not fan favorites, but maybe they're TLC darlings because they're willing to do whatever the producers want them to do. They're willing to do the fake storylines, the scripted dialogue, all of that stuff, whatever it takes to keep their spot on this show. Because according to Statler, Shekinah and Sarper are just chasing the fame and the money. That's all they really care about. Their whole story is fake. They're fake. The relationship is fake. And they're just here for the money and for the notoriety and the fame. She talks about how her and Dempsey have broken up in real life. They're not communicating with each other at all, so it must not have been a very nice breakup or an amicable breakup. They've blocked each other on all social media platforms. She said that Dempsey kept the van and still hasn't paid her for the van. She said that Dempsey cares more about followers than fans and would even make fun of the DMs that, the fans of the show would be sending to her, or the comments that people would leave on her social media platforms. She would make fun of people, that she just really cares about having a big following, could care less about having genuine fans. She said that they're making Corona out as the villain, which I haven't quite seen yet. To me, Inky looks more like the villain because he seems like he allowed this woman to leave her whole entire life behind in America to come live with him in Iceland. And it seems as if he's not really serious about having a future with her. So to me, Corona kind of comes off as, being the one, being kind of like the victim of this man's mind games. So I don't know what she meant by that. Maybe things will change later on in the season. But she said that they're making out Corona to be like the angry black woman and making her out to be the villain, which I haven't seen that yet. And she also said that the TLC producers don't care about the cast members' mental health, emotional health. Um, they'll put you through whatever they need to put you through to make a good scene or to be entertaining for the viewers, and could care less how it affects you personally. She says that she also said that they tend to over sexualize the LGBT community, but not the T in LGBT, not the T, just the LGBT community. She said that when her and Dempsey had that argument last season about whether or not to have children, that whole entire argument was fake and scripted. The producers told them to argue about children because I guess they weren't giving enough drama. They weren't giving enough nothing really interesting was going on with them. So they were like, hey, why don't you have an argument about kids? One of you will want them, the other one won't, and argue about that. And she said that her and Dempsey really had no intentions of having children. This was something that they had talked about in the very beginning of their relationship in real life, that they had decided to not have children. So for them to tell Dempsey, well, you're going to be the one that wants them, and Statler's going to be the one that doesn't want them, now go at it. That was all scripted. It was all fake. It was all done for the cameras. What else did she say? That there's some type of there's rumors going around that there's beef between Dempsey and Sophie, but she really didn't have the details because she doesn't talk to Dempsey. She also talked about how in the previous season of 90 Day Fiance The Other Way, I think it was, or before the 90 days, I think it was before the 90 days, David and Sheila, remember David, the one who was hearing impaired, and he went to the Philippines to visit his girlfriend Sheila, whose mother ended up dying during the season. May she rest in peace. Statler said that the producers wanted them to come off like the sweetheart couple. That if they wanted to, they could have made David look bad. But they decided to make David and Sheila look like the perfect little sweetheart couple that everybody fell in love with. That all of that is planned and concocted and manipulated for couples to appear a certain way, to be favorites or villains or whatever. Yes, we did. That goes without saying. Um, they're not really, she wasn't really dropping any tea when it comes to talking about how fake the show is. We understand that these reality TV shows are going to be manipulated, and there's going to be forced situations, and it's going to be made up dialogue. We all know that's what goes on in reality TV. That reality TV is not really reality because real reality is boring. Real reality doesn't make a lot of money. So they have a certain amount of time to have a certain amount of episodes to get out to the public, and they can't be sitting around waiting for something to happen. They have to make things happen to be interesting. Now, I think that reality TV is a mixture of fakeness and reality. I think there's a mixture because these people are not paid actors. I don't think that these couples would be having children and still living together if they didn't have to, right? If they were just all actors and really didn't have any feelings for each other, and these were not real relationships. So to a certain point, it is real, but I think that they do have to manipulate scenes and situations to create the drama. And most of the time when people are fighting, like they'll have these big blown out fights, and then like in the very next scene, they've talked about it and everything is okay again. Yeah, I would think that a lot of that was fake. A lot of that was just trumped up for the camera. So I don't think she was spilling any tea as far as that goes. Now, her breaking up with Dempsey, that was more interesting to me than anything else. And she talked about how it was all Dempsey's idea to be on the show. She said that they would watch the show together. And one day Dempsey was like, hey, what if we applied for the show? And Statler said that she really didn't take her seriously until Dempsey told her, okay, well, I got a call back and we're going to start filming or something like that. Statler said that it happened really, really quick by the time that Dempsey applied, and by the time that the producers were contacting them with the filming schedule, it all happened like within a month. It happened that quickly. And she claims that they were looking for a token lesbian couple, and that's why they got picked up so quickly for the show. She talked about, obviously, trying to start a union. I think it was another reality TV star's idea to start a union for reality TV actors or reality TV stars for their own protection. Statler was just really exposing a lot of stuff on her lives. Didn't give a damn about the NDA, which I would think that she should care about the NDA, because NDAs, they tend to hold up pretty strongly in court because of the fact that this is a contract that you signed and you violated it by talking about things that you weren't supposed to talk about. The only way that an NDA I think, or one of the very few ways that an NDA can be completely ruled as unenforceable is if, the NDA is trying to protect a crime that has been committed or some type of violation that has been committed against someone. And this reminds me of Tiger Woods and his past girlfriend. I forgot her name, but she had signed an NDA when she got with Tiger Woods. And when the relationship fell south, she wanted to she did break the NDA, and Tiger Woods sued her. I think his people sued her for breaking the NDA and talking about things that she wasn't supposed to talk about that occurred in their relationship. And her defense was, well, I was victimized in this relationship. Tiger Woods was abusive towards me, so I had to talk about the abuse um, to break the NDA. And so the court had ruled that there was no abuse and that she was at fault for breaking the NDA, because they determined that she was not being abused and no crime was committed. So the NDA stood. So I'm just kind of worried about Statler with her, revealing so much information that they could come after her. Also, she is not going to be on the tell-all. She said, I think that they did not invite her to be on the tell-all. I'm not sure about that. So she says it's going to be really interesting to see how they spin this story of why I'm not at the tell-all. Like, what lies are they going to come up with to explain why I'm not there? And she said that, she does feel some kind of way about it because she'll be able to give her side of the story. They're going to say whatever they want to say as far as why she's not there, but Dempsey is. And she won't be there to give her side of the story. So she's not going to be at the tell-all. I don't think she was invited. And I think it's because of the fact that, she's violating her NDA. Statler, please be careful. Okay, because they can come after you for violating that agreement that you signed, that you voluntarily signed. They can come after you for that. So anyway, that's just my little opinion and whatever about this show, which was, this was like a nothing episode. I did the best I could. Thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. On your way out, please don't forget to rate the video if you like this content, subscribe to my channel, and I'll definitely talk to you later. Bye.